And let's get here into the finals. So before we get into the intros, self-advertising, guys. If you miss any of the VODs for this, or you're only seeing this one game here now live, make sure to go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BaseTradeTV, because up there we've got the links to all of the recent videos. Nice username has taken over the channel. He's been getting a lot of the videos updated on the same day as we cast them, and they look very pretty, and they're all done in best of 5-in-1 videos. So again, it looks better than ever. Make sure to check them out, guys. BaseTrade or youtube.com/BaseTradeTV. But spawning here on the bottom left side of the map, it's going to be the red Protoss Neeb.
In the top right, as the green Zerg, it's Guru.
Wait, did I say bottom right or bottom left? Yo, it doesn't matter. On the bottom side is red Neeb. There you go. Sorry. I'm running around all over. We got the bot back up and running finally, too. So it's it was doing a stupid update, so it took forever to restart the computer. And during that last game, I guess it finished its updates. So fingers crossed it don't break again.
Well, it is Detox, as y'all can see. So there's no map intro, and it's a different map. It's forced to be played. First map's always forced for most of our tournaments that we do, actually. Whereas it's loser's pick afterwards. So you could say that they're getting the bad map out of the way, but there's 7 maps, unlike the Lima League. So I think ideally no one ever wants to play on this. Not because it's necessarily the worst map in the world, although some people do think so, but because they're just not used to it. Guru, I know, has played once or twice. He just appears in a lot of our online cups. Neeb, definitely less so. So I don't know. Maybe he only played on it once? I remember him playing on the other map from Avix back in the day, whatever that one was called. But I don't remember him playing on Detox. But he does wall off correctly, so he at the very least took a look at it and figured it out pretty quickly.
Real quick here, because people are bringing up the whole Bly thing, I want to address this. Bly's a good friend of ours, and like him leaving was nothing spiteful. We were talking about it. It was like kind of fun teasing him. But Bly, I don't know what he's doing, but he wouldn't forfeit a tournament if he didn't have legitimate reasons. So while some people are like maybe thinking we should rub it in his face or something like that, guys, if Bly's not playing, it's not like he left because he didn't think this would be worth his time. Bly's played tournaments for free. Bly's played tournaments for less than $50. Like, it definitely wasn't about the money for him.
No.
But I would hope as we continue more weekly cups in the future, again, I don't know that we can always hit $400 or $500 or whatever for the players, but it is really, like, let's be honest, it's fun crowdfunding. Like, it's really awesome seeing those numbers grow in real time. The players get to see how much money they're getting get better and better. Like, they know they're coming here for a bare minimum of $100, but can it be more than that? And absolutely. And
I really wish one day, so like you'll see Neeb like make a tweet like, "Hey, I'm in the finals. Make sure to donate so I get all the money." You know,
right? Like, well, not even the BM, but Mana's. I will give so much credit to Mana. Mana's been tweeting about Corsair and Matcherino when he plays in these cups. Like, when he wins, he's like, "Hey guys, I made money. Make sure you check this out next time." Like, I wish players would get a little more involved like that, but it's not like they do it because they're mean or selfish. They just, frankly, most players we meet are just complacently like accidentally ignorant. Like they're not doing anything malicious. They just like, "Oh, I didn't think to tweet. If you had asked me, I would have," type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it would be cool to have them be the ones to be like, "Oh, you know what? I should tweet and see if I can get some more money for this. Get my fans to donate like a couple of bucks here and there."
Because I'm sure certain that they would. But we do have CD Moose. Thank you for resubbing for 2 months in a row. And then in the game, we have not exactly an all-in. It's not so many gateways to be like, oh my god. But it is a Dark Shrine combined with Resonating Glaives. We see a lot of Blink Stalker in a Dark Shrines. This is a bit of a change-up. I don't think it's become so popular that, oh my god, this change-up means Guru won't anticipate the Dark Shrine, but if it had been Blink Stalkers, maybe he would have. Like, maybe that is the case, but it's going to be interesting seeing the two combined, especially because the not Dark Archons, the Dark Templars could turn into Archons and just have an actual like frontal push that is pretty strong.
Yeah. Depths are actually going to just be focusing on killing a lot of these creep tumors. It looks a little bit silly, but it's kind of an effective use considering they can't get forward. But that gateway was placed down to make the pylon warp in almost instantly, letting more reinforcements get to the front lines quicker. So no need for a warp prism when you've got this set up, which I guess is kind of funny to think about. Isn't that much more costly than a warp prism?
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way, Cloud Hermit, for the 2-month resub. Thanks for coming back for another month of StarCraft 2 on BaseTradeTV. The adepts actually do transfer through this time, and the links are going to get absolutely massacred.
We we talked a lot about what Neeb was doing, didn't really talk about what Guru was doing, or was not doing, rather, and I kind of saw it, but he didn't have speed on his Lings. He didn't have a Roach Warren until the attack kind of, like, just started, so that's why the Roaches are so late.
Oh, no.
The DTs warp in, and 4 DTs will definitely down a hatchery, and Neeb was just so surprising. Guru was playing way too greedy. It was probably going to lose the game. I mean, losing a hatchery is something you can recover from if you can clean up everything else and have, like, a counter-tech of your own, but it was, like, such a tough time cleaning everything up.
You just realize, why is Neeb so good at this game? Like, what's the secret? Did he actually drink his milk and eat his vegetables growing up? Like, what is the deal with Neeb? Seriously,
I don't know, but it's actually kind of funny to think that if he had stuck on Terran, he might not have ever had the popularity. Not saying it's because he's Protoss that he's popular, but like the playstyle really fits him. Like he really adapted to Protoss and Legacy of the Void.
It's funny that you bring this up because like I didn't really know Neeb as Terran. Like I've only really known Neeb as Protoss, so I don't have that sort of like. It's like TLO. I never saw a single game where TLO ever played Terran, but I know about it type thing. But yeah, you're right. Like it certainly seems to suit him well. The Warp Prism play he's able to pull off from time to time looks always the best in my opinion. But this killed 30 drones. This massacred a base. Guru, who has played in many of our tournaments at this point, it's safe to say has played on Detox. This is not a map he's unfamiliar with, but maybe perhaps one he's uncomfortable with. But it's not the map that killed him here. It was Neeb's tactics.
Well, it's funny because usually on a map that you're uncomfortable with, you play really defensive, you know, and maybe that's your problem. You end up not having a very good late game because you didn't, you know, macro hard enough. But Guru played a very greedy game, and that's a lot of why he's dying right now, which tells me that he seemed like he's going to be okay with the map on Detox. And it was, at first, I considered Detox Zerg favorable. But, you know, all their tricks have kind of been figured out. No longer do we see those double Ling drops that instantly, like, lose the Protoss of the Terran games. We don't see the mutas abusing the outside of the maps as often, but it can still happen.
So you bring that up, and I'll also say this. You put somebody like Nurgio on this map who figured it out, like, from day one, who you give him a week to practice it, and I think he wins, like, 90% of the games we ever cast on it, right? Like, it's a very different player than Guru. Not to say Guru is a better or worse player, but it's a very different player with different play styles. And Guru's may just not be well suited to take advantage of this. Guru, it's also worth noting, while we have seen him be aggressive in the past, he's not really that aggressive of a player unless he's going for an all-in. And I think that's something where, with a map like Detox, we've talked about this so many times, it's designed to favor attackers. It is so anti-defender's advantage in every single way possible. So I think that probably hurts Guru a little bit more than anything else.
Yeah. I guess it's also, you know, Guru being as greedy as he was, 2 base attacks, and again, it wasn't really like an all-in in the true sense, because it was only 5 gateways. He had a 3rd base coming behind after the damage was done. But it's really not that popular anymore. Usually, if you're able to scout it, it really fails, and Protosses don't want to, you know, risk it. But Guru was not scouting, another reason as to why he was being really way too greedy. But he's trying to recover, and he's not done a bad job, mostly because Neeb had to get his own 3rd base up and ready to go, and he's certainly now probably going to win as his army supply reflects how much damage he's done. His income has probably looked way better. Oh my god, that income graph, so much better than Guru.
Oh,
jeez. He's
really
good.
Okay, so Klagoose has an interesting question brought up in chat. BaseTradeTV, is it possible to donate only on the total pool of the tournament? Or if I'm impressed with a player and I watch him, can I donate, let's say, half to the tournament, half to him? That could be a really cool feature. I would actually say, Klagoose, go tweet that to Matcherino. That's something where, like, it's not hard to put a slider in, right? You can say, like, okay, first, second place, third, fourth place, whatever gets this much money, but also I want to give a sidebar to this guy. Unfortunately, right now, nothing is set up as such. So if you wanted to donate, say, $10 specifically to Neeb, you'd have to go to, like, his Twitch page and find his donation bar or something. Yeah. But right now, Matcherino just collects it for the prize pool. But I will point out, Matcherino, when it was initially designed, was meant for 1v1 show matches, and it wasn't designed for tournaments. So they've already, like, advanced, taken feedback, and made the website better than it used to be. So that sort of feedback, Klagoose, is really valuable to developers, and I would recommend messaging them about it. At any rate, this Warp Prism doesn't get a lot done, but it does drive the army out of position, allowing him to just, oh my god, obliterate what few drones there were at this base. Force Fields held that army back, and the base goes down. He can actually take this fight, too. The Lurkers didn't advance forward, so it's just Hydras against Immortals. It's just not going to work.
It's only one Lurker.
Down. Oh, god.
The other 2 Lurkers out in front lines went down super quick, so. GG.
Neeb going to lock down that first game in this best of 5.
Very, very good.
But it is the finals, guys, so we're going to squeeze in a small commercial break as we get into game number 2. Don't go anywhere. As Guru picks the next map, we'll see you soon. But okay, let's get into Lyra Crest. No intro. Thank you, Avivat, as well, donating $1. Actually, I gotta say,
20.
This is so sick because it's like not a stream of like $1. It's 25, 25, 20, 25, 10, 10, 10, 130, 20. Like there's a huge string of people donating to this tournament. That's really fucking cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I remind everybody, as much as I'm Reb and I may nerd out about this, it's all for the players, and that makes us very happy because anytime we can bring players more money to StarCraft 2. And that just makes us feel better. But it also helps the players actually make a living off this. And I think that's what we'd like to do most. So, of course, first place worth over $240. Second place worth over $80. Both of these players walking away today with more money than winning first place in your average weekly cup. So that's pretty awesome to see. But spawning here on the bottom right side of Lyra Crest to kick off game number 2. A more normal map for him, perhaps, as it was his selection. It's going to be Guru.
In the bottom left, as the blue Protoss, he is Neeb.
Now, Neeb, of course, up 1-0 is pretty impressive, not for the tactics and not because DT's caught Guru off guard, but again, a North American player coming to the European server, you know, things really do work against him. But good start to this series for him. Shout out to Newbie1337, though, and Steely Danger. That's a cool name, Steely Danger, for the 2-month resubs.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like a spy name.
It does sound like
the name's Danger. Steely Danger.
Steely sounds like it's like a name only old people would give people like in the 40s or something. Like Bucky.
It's like you know the stupid walkie-talkie. It's like Steely Wheelie. Like I can't believe you're stealing the cookies from the cookie jar. You're being a real Steely Wheelie right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we, as you said, this is Guru's map choice, and Lyra Crest is going to be a more normal map, but it really wasn't the map. I mean,
right?
It could have been a little bit like in his mind it was changed, but like it really was the map's fault. It was just that he was being way too greedy.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest issues coming to it was really there was greed and DTs and just a perfect storm of tactics that screwed him over. And it really wasn't so much the map. And I do reference it's a normal map because regardless of whether you're playing greedy or not, maybe it's because you were uncomfortable with the map and you want to play whatever way. This time around, though, we got quite a few more lings coming out. Looks like he will be putting a bit of pressure. Guru, having scouted the way the wall off went with the Overlord, this was actually not a bad move. You kill a pylon on the low ground, boom, no mothership core to overcharge it, which there isn't, and you're going to have a great time. In fact, ooh, is he going to put that off for like a faster Stargate or something? What's he, I guess the gas came down later? Neeb, what are you doing, man? You scared me.
There it is. That is a lot of lings, and it's going to be a lot more for where that came from. Like, Lyra Crest, very good for ling all-ins. It's going to be accompanied with drops as well.
That needs to be emphasized, though, the fact that it is, in fact, an all-in, whether it's drops or not. I mean, there's 16 drones on the other side of the map. So, regardless of how this goes, as long as Neeb holds, Neeb is going to be good to go. But it's not always as simple as that. And things like Overlord drops, I think the worst part about it is just how unexpected they are. It's just so weird to think, oh, tier 1, 8 links in my main.
Well, you know, what's nice is Neeb already took out that Overlord that was going to be used for the drop, so he doesn't have to worry about the main right now, unless Guru gets that second Overlord, like, finally way over to the left, which is probably not going to happen. So only focusing on the front is actually really important. He did go for the diagonal wall off, so, like, not really a wall off, just some SimCity. So there's no, like, you know, mass buildings being put down to make a secondary and then, you know, third wall, fourth wall, what have you. It is just about having units in the correct position. Unfortunately, the Adepts do go down. He'll need to wall off his main.
Yeah, he's bringing the probe over now, realizing just how desperate this is going to get. Almost misplaces the gateway. Stalker's going to fall, but that Mothership Core's got no energy, and if she overcharges, the links just back away, and this buys time, again, for that Overlord to get in position to morph into a drop and go to the main. So Mothership Core not going to be able to overcharge either of these pylons. They're both going to go down. Better saving those for the main. But this also takes away 2 gateways worth of production. So right now Neeb only has 1 gateway he can produce from.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. The Nexus is going to go down, and that's exactly what Guru wanted. Now, mind you, Guru's only on 2 bases, so the Nexus going down isn't game over, but it is not good, especially because he will be losing his production as well as counterattack potential.
Oh man, getting kind of messy here. It's getting really scary. A force field's not a bad choice at all with his selection. Now, I guess it's worth noting, as long as this Overlord transforming the main, if this doesn't kill a lot of probes, this isn't so bad. Because Guru, okay, knocks down the base, but with 31 probes, it's not hard to retake another Nexus. However, it is hard to replace a lot of probes lost, which might just happen next. In fact, he's going to catch wind of this right away. Both players going to get scared.
Yeah. I guess maybe thinking there's more than a sentry. Or I don't know. The game was due finish, however, and that's what Neeb really needed. He's going to get his Nexus eventually, but first he needed the production to get units to get there.
Oh.
Going to invest in a War Prism first, though?
Nope.
Okay, an Immortal.
Yeah, he actually, so it was like Observer into Warp Prism into Immortal. Like, I'm actually wondering if Neeb's a little bit flustered in this situation.
Yeah, probably. The Immortal is going to be an excellent choice, though, and he doesn't know that, so he's getting a little bit lucky here. He's not sure if Guru is expanding behind this or teching, like what if there's like Mutas on the way or something like that, or if he's getting Roaches for a follow-up all-in. And Guru is getting Roaches. I don't know about the all-in part. He's been droning the last minute or so. But Roaches, obviously he's going to have that counter of the Immortal. There's the Warp Prism, and Neeb might just be going for an attack. Again, Guru not in his own great economy, only on 2 bases, only just recently getting up to 31 drones. We'll have a tough time just having as many units as you need as a player to defend.
So just a small comment on people mentioning our Skype issues earlier. It wasn't Skype that was the problem, guys. Zymegrab's internet had straight up died. It's worth noting, I am not going to be an advocate for Skype. I think it's a terrible program, but we've actually had a couple of issues with Zoom, which we used to use as well. So I thank you guys for your opinions and feedback, but believe me, in 3 years of casting together, we've tried many different things.
Yeah. So there's that attack, but that is what this Overlord is going to be perfect for.
Yo, this was like the long con, right? Like, he took this away so far to make sure that Neeb wouldn't see this coming, or Neeb, excuse me, wouldn't see this coming, and now there's Lings to get to the main. But how much can they really do? There's so many probes here, I almost feel like he could fight this. He's going to pull instead.
Yeah, just pull. Takes out the rest of the Lings as they get kind of just running themselves into the sentries. Looks a little odd. The probe pull was good, so only 2 probes go down. The important thing about this was that it did scout, so it saw the robotics bay, which is pretty important, and kept the army from attacking. The War Prism goes in by itself, and does get denied just by a Queen and a handful of Roaches. Gets its own scouting too, though. That's, again, pretty important. It sees the lair, doesn't see the Spire. I don't want to recheck that.
Big shouts to for Haley for the 18-month resub. 18's a long time to resub to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But, you know, the Spire's got an interesting dynamic to it. Guru doesn't actually have a lot of gas. So going forward, if Neeb actually attacks, congrats. Guru will get away with 1 Mutalisk, maybe 2. Like, he's going to have to actually spend money and gas on defensive units to defend against these attacks. Like, more Roaches coming in, more Lings, you name it. So if the Spire completes, that's a little bit scary for Neeb, and Neeb is on the cusp of losing if that's the case. But if he can't afford to build any Mutas, then it's a non-issue.
Yeah. And if he does build Mutas, but only after losing his hatchery, his third, and his natural, and all of his rest of his army, then it's still not going to be an issue. The Warp Prism is really important. As he sees the Mutas pop out, he's going to be able to warp in Stalkers, and they're really, again, both on very low economy, so it's going to be like 3 Mutas versus 4 Stalkers or what have you.
Okay, and did he see that Spire? The recall went down pretty quick there. Actually, where is it? Okay, he saw the Spire. He actually did see the Spire. I saw it recently, too, so you notice the timing on it, which means this recall was not a terrible idea. But I still think pressuring in and forcing... Like, it's 3 Mutas. It's really a not... Like, the sentries can deal with 3 or 4 Mutas. You throw up a Guardian Shield and just kill them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, he might have wanted to just attack into that, but... You know, the problem with Mutas is that they usually start snowballing, and that's why you just want to end the game before it gets to that point. But I guess it's going to be really hard to snowball when you lost a third, and... You know, you're only just rebuilding it now, too, so he probably thought that was enough damage to warrant backing off. And he's going to have a very, very slow tech up to something that can deal with Mutas better than just Stalkers. He's going to wait for Blink, there's not going to be any, you know, Archons, and there's not going to be any Phoenixes just now throwing down that Stargate.
It's worth noting, though, Stalkers have proven to be not bad versus Mutas. Of course, the problem is that you do need upgrades, so the Phoenix... I don't know. I feel like every time we see this, it never really works out for the Protoss player. They're always up to about 5 Phoenix when 18 Mutas come in, and, you know, your control's not perfect, so you bleed them out 1 or 2 at a time.
Well, I mean, the Phoenixes are just going to be the easiest. Like, Blink Stalkers can run and chase around and whatnot. All these are not Blink Stalkers. But Phoenixes are actually going to be able to chase, like, over, like, obstacles, of course, because they're both air. And that is going to be the ideal situation. But for having started off the way that it has, it is getting kind of an even game. Neeb honestly looks a bit better just because you don't usually want to be a Zerg player below 50 drones at 10 minutes. But those mutas could snowball, and that's the scariest thing for Neeb right now.
Yeah. I like that he's not freaking out about this. I mean, it's still getting the Phoenix. He's still building disruptors. A third base is on, like, just finished up. Like, he's not playing too scared. He's not playing this poorly, I guess is the best way for me to phrase that. Like, this is being handled well.
Yeah. Guru does have that fourth base. There's not enough drones to really saturate everything, although his main and natural, I mean, it's always, like I said, the Void are starting to get mined out. The muta count really not snowballing either. Like, he's still building mutas, but it's just such a slow rate. Only up to 9 mutas is not very... I mean, I said sluh because it was a slow rate.
Slut, like... Mutas are so slutty. Look at them just all over the place. Putting a glaive of worms where it's not welcome. Actually, that reminds me. Shoutouts have to go to, was it Jen Owings? She made like the greatest Mutalisk bad cosplay in our cosplay
That was
contest.
A really... the shout out was going to go one way or another.
Okay, well, rocks being torn down. 4 bases set up for Guru. I will say he's looking a lot better than when there was just 3 mutas roaming around the map.
Right, yeah, and he stopped building mutas, which I really... Like, that was not ramping up too quickly, so... He's just done with the mutas. The Phoenixes, though, they're going to see this, and they're also going to stop production with Phoenixes. Although, I mean, you don't necessarily have to immediately stop production with Phoenixes. They're still going to help for the Hydras and for the Lurkers,
yeah.
But,
well, I mean, that's what the Disruptors are there for, though, so you're kind of double dipping if that ends up being the case. I think the Phoenix really should be utilized strictly for worrying about the mutas. Once you realize that account's been sort of set down and set to the side, yeah, having 7, having 5 out to Graviton Beam, crowd control, not bad. But the army Neeb has is perfectly capable of dealing with what's available, so long as he doesn't have to deal with mutas.
Guru's army is getting scared, and taking a kind of a hidden base is pretty clever. But it is also that, like, because the game has gone this way, and started off with that Ling all in, Neeb is getting a lot of time to get to that ideal Protoss army.
So here's the first question I have to raise with that hidden base. Does Guru plan to go for a base trade? It's so silly, and Penguin's not the only player to do this, but exclusively hidden bases have been really good for setting up for said trades. And with having Mutalisks and whatnot in play, I thought that might have been the direction this goes, but I actually think that actually may just be a straight-up hidden base.
I think so. The positions they have, the chances of them circumventing each other's army is really, really low, which is usually the only way you base trade if you're not going for mutas. And I don't think Guru's going to switch back into mutas. Now with the double Stargate already available. In such a little bank, too.
I think it's something where if you get away with half the map mining for a while and you do have a bank, swapping back into them later is not a bad idea.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
Not anytime in the near future.
Yeah. Neeb taking that offensive 4th base, this way you can defend and attack at the same time, could be a little dangerous if the Lurkers ever get an opportunity to advance, but he's hoping that will never happen with his Disruptors. His Disruptor count's at 6, going on 7. Oddly enough, barely any Immortals. Like, so used to seeing just mass Immortals, but only 1 to bust through any Roach line. There really isn't any Roach line, so it's probably a good composition. I guess he's checking for that hive, seeing how tech advanced Guru is getting. If he saw a hive, he might be more apt to push into the army, but seeing that Guru is probably just entirely depending on like his army and able to reinforce the army, it's gonna be a little safer.
The upgrades have been a little bit low this game for Neeb, but I'm actually really liking the Zella warp in. I think Zella's going to contest a lot better with what's here than the Adepts would in this situation. That charge forward adds that 8 extra damage, kind of nice to see. One Disruptor gets caught in the backside, though. Some of these Lings not quite going to cut it. So these are going to run through to the main. Overcharge is going to get popped. Nice block, nice deny. Meanwhile, big attack here on the right side. Lurkers really want to dive on in, but not distracted like Guru was hoping his opponent would be. However, still limited. Rip Zealots. Rip Zealots indeed. But the detection here actually can't deal with this. Fighting on this front lines is just going to cost some more and more units.
Oh, the Disruptors, they're on cooldown. They're going to get attacked by the Lings, too. A couple of them are going down.
The force shields are not bad. Disruptors get a couple of... Or, not Disruptors, Ravagers get a Corrosive Bile in there, which was kind of nice to see. But those Lurkers also advance forward once again. And for Neeb's army, there's no detection. Like, man, build an Oracle out of those double Stargates. Lift up the Lurkers with those Phoenix and win the game.
That's definitely what I'm thinking. He's got to build an Oracle or two from those Stargates. Observers just don't cut it to begin with, and he doesn't even have any Observers right now. So, warping in High Templars, maybe for Storm, maybe just for Archons. Okay, just for Archons. That's fine. That's beefy. And at the end of the day, like, Neeb didn't take that bad of an engagement, but it got really awkward. And it does usually come down to the fact that Lings are getting on top of Disruptors. It makes it really sketchy.
There's two very important elements going on here. One is the Phoenix actually find the base up here to the north. They were, I think, just
hello.
flying. I think they were just going to fly around outside the creep range to try and get around, but that worked out well for them. They'll get some drone kills, which is nice. However, I was going to say, Neeb's still not investing in detection, and I think my thoughts are he's avoiding doing this because he knows Disruptors can hit units blind. And if that's the case, that's not a terrible choice, but I still have to argue, why not just one Oracle? Why not just one Revelation, which will pay off so incredibly well?
There's no downside to getting an Oracle. He's not super strapped for cash and everything matters. He has a 4th base, and he could probably even get a 5th. Like, the way they're engaging each other is not really based on that top half of the map, although the Phoenix did just find the hatchery. So I don't know why he's just not bothering.
Well, advancing those Lurkers and Hydras forward, those Disruptors are going to have to get those shots. Once again, detection being a huge issue going into this fight. They get some pretty decent ones, too. The Lurkers go down immediately, one of them very low afterwards, but Disruptor shots are on a fairly long cooldown.
This is the other problem, is that Disruptors will eventually run out of shots.
Oh,
Jesus. And then what are you going to do? Like, it's very odd.
Well, Phoenix is continuing to massacre drones while this goes on, but drone kills are not worth it when you're losing your 4th base. The livelihood of Neeb pretty dependent on gas income, and this base was going to be very crucial to that.
Yeah. I mean, he sees the bases. Unfortunately, Phoenix can't attack buildings, can't do anything about it, but that is not telling a very good story for Neeb. Guru is starting to take over the map.
I forgot Guru was that guy who just made, like, straight up, like, 24 Lurkers. Like, clumped them all together. Yeah. And that's kind of what he's doing. 10 more Lurkers are on the way, and he's certainly got the power shifting in his favor. I mean, so much of this game from the get-go, with the Ling All-In opening, like, Neeb was behind in a lot of ways, and he finally found himself starting to catch up in this game, but I actually don't believe he has what it takes to fight this army. Not unless Guru keeps clumping units up like this and making silly mistakes.
It was one thing, though. Guru did clump his Lurkers a lot. I believe it was versus Mana. He went for like the 24 Lurkers or whatever. Like, it was constantly clumped, and Mana was making the mistake of never going for Disruptors, where Neeb is... It's not a mistake to go in for Disruptors, but it's making a mistake of not getting detection for his other units to kill the Lurkers if he ever got a chance.
It's killing me here. And he could blindly walk into some of these Lurkers if he's not careful. I mean, God, he's playing careful. But now his reinforcements are cut off. Thinking I'll be paying for the donation. We'll get to that in a moment. But right now, those overcharges are not going to last too long with Lurkers chipping away at the pylons. Rushing in from the backsides. Once again, he has to guess. He can't see anything. There's no observers. There's nothing. Like, congratulations, Neeb. You're actually really good and don't require a lot of detection. And he actually takes out the last 3 Lurkers.
Takes out the army,
but,
oh my god.
Okay, first off, if Neeb wins this, I'm going to be really mad. But secondly, like, I'm shocked that Guru is not able to capitalize on this lack of detection more, you know? Like, again, like you said, he's clumping up. He's not spreading out. It should take Neeb 17 shots to kill these Lurkers, not 4.
You know, despite Guru taking the base and Neeb seeing all the hatches that are down, Guru doesn't really have that much of a bank. He took a pretty bad engagement just straight up, and Neeb didn't lose out too much of the army with that last one. So, up 30 army supply, he wants to be able to push, but he can't push too fast. He has to kill the Lurkers first.
He shouldn't be getting these hits. Like, congratulations, Neeb, on getting the hits, but Guru's leaving 7 Lurkers in the same spot. They're eating so much shared splash damage. It's devastating. It's frankly devastating and shouldn't be happening.
It's just tilting the casters.
It's not tilting the casters. I'm just more shocked. Guru's a good player. So to see such amateurish mistakes, and this isn't even just in this series, like he did this last time, it's like a stylistic choice.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I don't really blame Guru that much. You don't really have to usually spread out your Lurkers. So, yes, would it be more ideal? Absolutely. But it's also where he was probably just thinking, I'll be in bank for days, I have so many bases, I can replace all of these, which is obviously not happening, and it's a big problem. I am just still shocked that Neeb just doesn't bother with detection. Finally, we have an observer on the way.
Like, this blows me away that's the case. By the way, Phoenixes have been slowly corralling and culling the drone counts on these other bases. Finally, a bunch of Spore Crawlers got placed now. But, you know, as good as this was and as crazy as the damage was, Neeb did lose both of his expansions. So finally trying to get these back down and play. This is where Speedlings, this is where run-bys, this is where the power of Zerg comes through with their mobility. Because what Neeb has is a very strong but very slow-moving army.
Mm-hmm. That was another thing that Guru did, I believe, was go for melee upgrades and really use Ling counterattacks very well. So these Lings are at 2-2.
No Adrenal Glands either?
No, he never went for a Hive, which is kind of interesting. At no point did he think I'm comfortable enough going for a Hive. I just want to win with mass Lurkers. And it is biting him in the butt here as more Lurkers go down.
Yeah. I mean, Lurkers are expensive as hell. We made jokes, but like 18 something. Actually, I'm going to hit Shift L. 22 Lurkers have died. That is so expensive.
Mm-hmm. Neeb really has a tough time taking care of these Lings, though. He can't even warp in to help out, and this should have just been easy, like 3 Zealot warping in to deal with everything. He's lost power on his Forge, so no +3 for him, and that puts him pretty down in upgrades.
No
has
madness.
not done anything about the extra bases, too, besides that little Phoenix harassment.
Oh, he's starting to lose on these Disruptors. Where the detection really hurts because you'd be able to just clean these up with a couple of Archon hits, but this game just getting kind of messy for both players, but worse so for Neeb.
14 probes.
He finally, you know, the thing is, though, he doesn't have a lot of bases. Like, he actually, it's stupid to say, like, geysers and assimilators are starting to get depleted. There's little gas left. This base, fully saturated, would be his only base mining anyways. Also, got to give some love to our main man, Meal Mage. 2 years on that resub button as of today. Thank you so much.
Ooh.
It's also one of my favorite people to meet up with at the Twitch Vancouver meetups.
Alright, so this third base, I guess, is just forfeit. Like, Neeb's just like, I can't stop it. Okay, that Poacher's not gonna stop it.
Can't even.
It's so silly. Neeb can't do any harassments. His Phoenixes have just been left alone. If he had a couple of DTs, that might have been amazing to take down Guru's extra bases, because Guru already had... He's had backup bases for the last 7-8 minutes, and he just sent drones over there. This is going to be an all-in for Neeb, and it could work if there's other shots who just get amazing hits, but Lurkers advancing on top of the Disruptors.
I mean, look at that army supply, though. Neeb still reigns supreme when it comes to supply. Like, this is kind of insane to consider, but, wow. Okay, so I'll be donating $5 a few minutes ago, and he said, great work on the stream, loving the new weekly cup. In addition, the 1080p stream is so nice. I love spoiling you guys with 1080, but don't get too excited about it yet. Like, it's not something we can normally afford to do, but this month, because we're casting less, I can afford to throw on 1080p.
Okay. Let's point out something else that Neeb could be doing here. There are, like, no Hydras. And the Phoenixes could be picking up those Lurkers, too. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
Guru had such a small army supply.
They are just sitting here kind of idle. But, I mean, like, so there's so many pros and cons to this game for both players, right? Like, on one hand, I want to, like, commend Neeb for coming back from a terrible all-in, a devastating opener in the game, having no detection and somehow fighting relentless waves of Lurkers. But on the other hand, Guru, why did you let that happen, right? Like, both players made mistakes, both players made good moves, but it's just funny to see Neeb be the one capitalizing on it between the two of them.
Yeah. Again, Neeb, with no chance of harassment, losing his last few Zealots, too, will not be able to stop Guru from expanding to the top.
So, I'm curious, right? I was actually going to look. It's not that Neeb lost a bunch of detection, by the way. This game, this is literally his only form of detection. Right here.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
He's building a second observer now, thank God. But don't you dare bring that first one with the army. How could you? 480 Lings have died this game. 32 Lurkers now. This number is getting insane. And the resources lost really starting to favor Neeb.
Well, Neeb had that army advantage. He had at one point like a 50 army supply advantage, and he was not able to capitalize on it.
No.
So Guru is finally starting to get that income rolling. You know, the biggest problem for Guru has been he did not take the extra gases at his extra bases. That has been his constant limiting factor. I just assumed he was using it too well, but he never got them.
Yeah, we thought he had good macro. Turns out he had bad macro. You know what's kind of funny, too? You mentioned it earlier for the Templar. We never had Storms come into play. And I can't help but think like a blanket of Storms on top of these Lings would have just removed them from the equation.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. Plus, it's energy-based, which would really be helpful as Neeb is just running out of minerals and gas. That's a lot of Lings.
Nope.
I don't know if it's really worth it. That was very dangerous to do, like, holy crap.
You know, he has 2 Archons. I say Archons for Lings isn't too bad, but yeah, that was kind of costly for somebody this late in the game. Some of these Disruptors, by the way, 17 shots on 1. I'm just trying to see if there's any other high scores, but it does look like 17 is like the highest Disruptor shot so far.
Some of them are really low. They move forward a little bit, and they're just going to get tricked by the lurkers.
It is worth noting, like, okay, 32 lurkers died, and that's kind of cool, but 19 disruptors also went down this game. Like, Neeb has not exactly been playing super clean. And in fact, this fight may not go his way. I take that back.
Might, though.
Yeah, the Lings get wrecked on the backside. Those force fields are fan-freaking-tastic.
No.
Archons are really low.
No.
But this is kind of bare bones for both players. And I'm also on the no train.
There's only 2 more lurkers. There's only 2 more lurkers. Where the hell are they?
Middle of the map. Phoenix has come in. These guys have been AFK for so long. They got full energy. They pick up what little hydras, what little queens there are. No contest for these crowd-controlling birds of fury. And I can't believe this is one of those games where you're like, Neeb is a literal god. Like, how does he do it?
No. Okay, a lot of Lings are on the way, and Guru's just sending them to the 4th base. Neeb will no longer have any reinforcements. You know, guys, detection is that one observer went down. Wait, can you get another one? Oh yeah, back to no detection for you.
Guru,
you're pretty used to it.
You still got the drop overlord there on the side. Just realized.
Oh my good god, Neeb.
Chrome's got picked up and he's dropping them. Why? You saved these.
Oh well, he saved some of them.
Is it bait?
I mean,
come over here, bad boys. Like.
And Neeb did not push into the heart of the army. He's pushing into the heart of the economy, which could be good.
So it's base trade.
But it is a base trade. And Neeb does not have enough minerals to make anything. Anything. He needs a nexus.
Everything's retreating to the north. Every single Ling, every single drone. This is a game that's far closer than it should be. Like,
seriously.
Like, Guru has a superior army, but he can't get up to the ramp. Like, he'll never break that ramp with just Lings. Drop Overlord? Oh!
I mean, that is a lot of Lings. I think he could do some significant damage to it.
This army could get obliterated, though. He doesn't actually have much to fight with here. Not against the Lings. The Archon gets taken out. The Disruptors go down.
Yeah, that's going to be it. I mean, Mass Lings ended up doing
Guru.
it. But in a way, thank God.
I almost don't even know who deserved to win that game. Like, that was such a weird... Like, God damn it, Neeb was, like, so sick looking there for a moment. But that ties it up 1-1, and we are going to take a moment to breathe ourselves. It was that like a 30-minute game? Jeez. So, if you guys need a bathroom break, go take it now. We're going to go to 2 minutes of commercials before we get to game number 3. It's going to be Neeb's map pick. And we'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Oh, just in the nick of time, I got back. Oh, never been so fast in my life. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Matcherino Sunday Cup. This is the second one of what I'm hoping is going to be many to come in the future. Spawning here on the bottom left side of Dusk Towers, it is going to be the blue Protoss from North America, Neeb.
In the top right, as the green Zerg, it is Guru.
Alright, so that game was exciting and enticing and full of mistakes and wonderful play. That was one of those games of StarCraft 2 I really truly enjoy. But I do have to wonder, like, Neeb, like, why no detection for so long? Was it a mistake? Was it on purpose? What was the deal with that?
It just didn't. There's like no reason for it to be on purpose. I realized that observers cost a little bit, but not much, and that they take up a little bit of time on your robo. And there's definitely certain points where you could argue he needs disruptors right now. He cannot wait to build an Oracle or an Observer. But there is definitely points where he didn't need them.
Right.
Definitely could have made an Observer or two. So I would be honestly very surprised if he did not realize he didn't have detection for 15 minutes. But that is a possibility. Just doing so well with the disruptors, he figured he had them.
I mean... Credit must go to Neeb. He got a lot of hits with no detection, and he took care of a lot of lurkers. But at the same time, Guru made that easy by putting big blind targets in the ground.
Yes, that is certainly true. I mean, you know, Guru was changing it up towards the end. One part because he didn't have that many lurkers to ball up in a big clump, and then 2 part, I think he was just realizing, like, okay, if I stop clumping them up, I'm going to do better. But that was a funky game.
Yeah.
It really only got truly funky, though, when the Lings started to counterattack and kill probes and like really make into like a base trade, low economy scenario. And that shouldn't happen on Dusk Towers. Having those 3 bases secured by basically being next to each other. They're watching each other's backs kind of deal. And that 4th base being watched by the army. That's where the army's going to go. Ling counterattack shouldn't be as powerful, but Guru has done mass upgraded Lings before on this map in particular.
It's funny you bring that up, though, right? Because consider what happened last game. Like, objectively speaking, forget all the other mistakes later on, Guru got ahead by knocking down a Nexus and playing off the back end of that. And even with that being the consideration, he still only barely beat Neeb. Like, barely. So I'm wondering if this will be a situation where if you do have to go toe-to-toe with Neeb's macro, will you be able to? It's unhindered. It's not losing a Nexus early. Third base fairly easily. I mean, there's a couple of probes perhaps in danger? No, he just pulls them easily, handles this.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Neeb does have some pretty powerful macro. I guess it is important to consider that last game did start off with the Nexus dying. Depp gets in there and scouts. He's nothing out of the ordinary. The next scout will come with the Phoenixes that are on the way. And take care of that Overlord too. And Neeb should be going for a third base. So the question is always, like, how quick of a third base, and does Guru try and deny it with a bunch of lings? It doesn't look like he will.
We'll Phoenix take some shots fired here at the Overlord. Just clean this up, make sure there's no drops going in. Kind of an important detail. It is kind of cool though, because I want to point out between Naniwa's stream, our stream, and Ruff and Guru and whoever else is streaming this today, apparently the peak for viewership so far was like a little over 4.7k. So it's like almost 5k tuning in for like a Matcherino Cup. People throwing in a couple of bucks here and there. I think that's really cool. This is great. We used to do nothing on Sundays, and now I'm questioning, like, why the fuck did we do nothing on Sundays? Sundays are like really fun days for StarCraft now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny to be in esports, man. Like, weekends have become the busiest days, especially with all the LANs that go on and like the qualifiers that we cover usually being on weekends.
Yeah. It's hard to commit something that you know you're going to have to move. Like, for example, the 16th, we have to move the Alima League or cancel it because DreamHack qualifiers.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. Well, there's the third base, and as I said, the question was if Guru was going to try and deny it, and that didn't happen. He didn't bother making like a ton of lings to try. He figured that Neeb was probably going to be good enough to defend against it. Phoenix is doing a little bit of harassment. First robo on the way. It's just a regular old Dusk Towers PvZ. And Guru going for Roach, Hydra, I'm guessing Lakers.
I would like to contest something that you've mentioned here in chat. Where we had some guy claim he knew you in school and he loved you, right? You're assuming high school. What if he meant like preschool? Like, what if you guys were like 4 years old and there's like that innocence and he brings you a flower and you said, okay, thank you, and he's like, oh my god, I love this girl.
You would not have remembered me.
You don't know that. What if this is one of those weird cases?
I was blonde and blue-eyed.
Photographic memory, you remember everything from every step of your life.
Okay, buddy, okay.
Actually, I always thought that was like... So, there's that aspect, right? Like, little tiny kids, you know, doing the cute thing, you're holding hands, whatever. I remember when I was young, because I read so much goddamn Kelvin and Hobbes, I spent the first, like, easily 14 years of my life saying girls are gross, no girls allowed, like that sort of mentality.
So did I.
Dude, there's this one girl, actually, ooh, Jesus, I just realized she actually isn't alive anymore, but she would run around and try and kiss me all the time when we were little, and I would just be like, no, stop it, no. Like, it was the scariest thing in the world back then.
Yeah, that actually would be scary. I, legitimately though, until I was about 12, I thought that girls were really boring and weren't interesting and like wouldn't like sports and had cooties, same deal.
I got so many cooties, how do I get rid of them, Mom? Your mom's just like, shut up, Jessica.
Just mostly I thought they were really like, uninteresting, you know? I thought all of them were going to be like the girls, like the popular girls, you know? Like there wasn't any variation.
What about the Powerpuff Girls?
That was before I probably was watching Powerpuff Girls.
Actually, I know it's like a Tumblr thing, so I know you've seen it, but with hands. Like, how do they grab onto things? And like you zoom in on the Powerpuff little nibs, and it's like a million hands, like that are microscopic and creepy looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the Phoenix is getting some decent harass. Really, there's not been a lot to pick up, but you'll notice that they've used all the energy. And while this isn't such a big indicator nowadays, it's worth noting that if you've used all the energies on the Phoenix, they're probably not waiting to be used in a fight. So it just kills as many drones and queens and picks up whatever he can and just chills the hell out. So Guru's got to know, all right, there's not a big attack following this up. There's not some big immortal force pushing down the middle of the map.
Back in the day, there was an all-in that was based on specifically keeping your Phoenix energy high, and that would be a tell. Those are the days. But this is a very scary Protoss army. You got double Robo pretty quickly, making a lot of charge lots on Immortal.
Right, so that's the 2 points that really matter here. Upgrades were kind of extinguished and ignored and not really relevant to that last game. But this time we're going to have +1 early. We're going to charge early. These Zealots are going to massacre the Hydras as long as there's no Lurkers in play. So keeping an eye on that Lurker Den, knowing that this isn't finished yet. Neeb's probably going to push soon, knowing that this is his timing. He also has detection, by the way. Shout out.
Whoa! Shout out to the Observer, and an Oracle's on the way too.
Hype!
Oh god. Okay.
Storms also made, so all these Templar not turning into Archons. I mean, this is set up so perfectly to deal with Hydras, but it is, of course, eventually going to have to deal with Lurkers, and that's where I wonder what Neeb's plans are. That's where the Immortals are probably just going to be most important. But frontline attackers, they get 500 health, 200 benefits through shields. I mean, it's a tanky as hell unit. Like, really, Immortals are scary to deal with.
Yeah. And they're combined with Archons, and the army does not go down very, very quick at all. It looks like he's saving some of the High Templars this time for Storm, which was another upgrade that was missing last game. And has a very near-perfect Protoss army. Guru trying to get to that perfect lair-based army, but where the Lurkers, there's the Lurkers.
This amount of Storms, though, I mean, even if this hits the Lurkers, it's going to help out. Charge lots, of course, if they hit the front lines, again, all they got to do is actually connect to deal damage, take those swipes, you're going to have a good time. On the right side, this base most likely going to die. That's a lot of Zealots here, actually. They don't even have to focus the hatchery. But if Guru diverts any attention over here, any amount of his army comes this way, that might just be the sign for Neeb to push in through the middle of the map. So focus is down, the hatchery, it's going to go down pretty easily. It's not even a close fight. Zealots could even escape if he picks him up.
Hot pickup.
Meanwhile, does try to force an engagement in the middle of the map. Misses the army because Guru had dived forward, so a little bit awkward. As Neeb was ready to pounce and kill anything that was left over here.
Well, Neeb taking his 4th base it's pretty safe 4th base with all this aggression he's doing, and okay, that's just kind of a walk by, I guess we'll call it. Roaches and Hydras. Neeb obviously sees it. It's going to protect his 4th base, and is continuing to get to that near unbeatable Protoss army. They're both maxed out, but Guru sticking on that lair tech does have the worst, composition. It is positional, I guess, dependent, so sometimes it could be really abusive positions, but this is when you start talking about the Zerg needing Hive, as the Protoss is maxed out in this, and needing Vipers or Broodlords or something.
I mean, Blinding Clouds would actually do amazing against an army that's so Immortal, I guess, dependent. But looking on the right side, I mean, there's still quite a few Storms. He hasn't had to burn anything yet, so there's a lot of energy on these Templar banked up, whether it hits Lings, and hopefully it hits Lings. Although these are going to run by. He saw this. He had Revelation cast. I don't know why he let this happen.
I don't know. Tempest are on the way.
There you go. That's why.
So, the Tempests are almost like, they are the final step to Protoss, but it's always so funny seeing them come out before the Zerg is even thinking of Hive, much less Broodlords, because that's really where they're they shine, is they take on Broodlords really quickly, but they're certainly going to be able to take down an army, force an army engagement, take on Lurkers. It's still useful. But I'm surprised Neeb hasn't tried to take an army fight yet. He gets a good Revelation, another good Revelation. He sees everything, all the important units.
He's got to make up for the Revelations he didn't have last game.
Yeah, right. He's only missing 1 Lurker here, and that's is really, really nice. Oracle's still alive, plenty of energy too.
Well, the Tempest will be able to shoot from far away, and these units were, I think, designed initially to deal with Broodlords. They will still deal with Lurkers and Hydras pretty well from afar. Lurkers actually swiping hard from the bottom side. They'll get some good shots on those Immortals, and this is actually not going so well for Neeb. He uses up all the Storms. There's still a lot of Hydras. He doesn't have any buffer for this. Where are those charge lots?
He did push into a concave. It was going to be questionable right from the get-go, but as long as his Immortals survive, it's not that bad. 2 of them go down really quickly, just because the Hardened Shield was down and they were so low, but he saves most of them.
I think one of the biggest problems there was, he really did take a lot of shots. It's not the concave so much, it's just the Lurker shots lined up really well to splash the maximum amount of units possible. I think he may have been thinking about going for round 2 on the Warp Prism. I mean, it did some pretty good damage with the Zealots it had unloaded earlier, but unfortunately, now his Tempest army is not going to have the greatest ground support.
Right, that was the other questionable thing, not only pushing into the concave, that wasn't anywhere near anything important, it wasn't about to kill your 4th base. It's also that he was transitioning. If he had lost his entire army, he has just put a ton of minerals and gas into Stargates, a Fleet Beacon, and Tempest that would not have been very helpful. There's a lot of Hydras still alive. But everything's calm, everything's fine.
Yeah, Guru
just calm down a bit. Guru did not take advantage of that fight because he really couldn't. He didn't have a lot of, really bulky units.
So, we was talking about Zerg players never getting static defense. Guru is kind of set to deal with Warpins. Revelation comes down, tags some of these Hydras. That Oracle's got to be careful. Tempest don't have the damage, though, to deal with this. In fact, getting very damn scary. Lings eat up a lot of that storm damage, though.
A couple gateways go down is a little annoying, but this is a questionable continued fight. Like, initially it was fine. If he had backed up now, that would have been fine, too. But the Hydra's left alone. The Lurker is not touching anything. Yeah, I'm surprised Guru stuck around as long as he did. Now the Tempest get on top of the Lurkers. They can't really run. I'm going to try. Run! That is a very powerful Protoss army that will be able to take them down, even if they do end up reburrowing somewhere else.
Alright, well, this is going to cease chase. Waiting for that War Person to go in, but really, this has scared him. Like, he's too afraid to go into the natural base, and I don't blame him. Like, that's damn scary. Stasis Trap actually plays a really cool role and does catch a lot of the Lings running around, so these won't be so problematic to deal with, but there's still not a lot over here to actually deal with them, so probes are going to die. It's worth noting there's no Adrenal Glands, but we have Hive finish up in a second, and we'll see if he decides to invest in them. I think the Lings he's gotten out of this game and last game have been some of his best assets, so I would hope he invests in upgrading them further.
Guru, who is still stuck on layer, just the way they seem to like to play.
Well, no, he's
certainly.
now.
Okay, well, stuck on layer units. My bad. Like, Roach Hydra Lurker is a fun composition, but it does start to die out, especially if they are taking good engagements. And he's not really in the money, too. Like, he doesn't have a huge bank.
I didn't realize how many Tempests he got up to.
Neeb just used the Tempests and these cannons to deplete his bank that he had. So I was going to start talking about was that Guru using these units that he's thinking are replaceable is not so replaceable as he's low on income.
Yeah, the Tempest should ideally be getting free hits. Like, the Hydras should never really be able to get underneath this, get on top of them, and pounce. Like, if they can't, great, you win the game, but that's not the situation at hand. Constant Revelation showing where the army is, leave no opportunity to do, like, burrow tactics. I mean, a couple Tempests on the side get caught, sure, but that's where the Immortals and the Tempest clean them up. Lings do run by once again, get to the natural 3rd and 4th base.
Yeah. A bit annoying, 16 probes go down, but something that Neeb can definitely recreate
I gotta say,
fast on 5 Nexus.
I don't think Guru can win the game at this point. I'm just gonna say it. We've seen this happen too many times on Dust Towers. You get that Golden Armada going. As long as Neeb doesn't throw his army away in a very silly, foolish fashion, he should be, frankly, good to go. I mean, the Tempest count did get called a little bit. 1 went down, but there's still 9 pushing. There's a lot of Immortals underneath this, and like, how do you deal with this army? And frankly, not with what's available on the map.
Yeah. I like the idea of the Queens transfuse. They got a bit of range on them too. They can take, they can help versus air. But
Tempest actually getting focused down by the Hydras. A little bit scary for Neeb. I think he's relying on some more storms.
Well, the Immortals were kind of stuck behind there. Now they come forward and they're going to start ripping through those Hydras. Not too quickly, but enough.
Oracle says, "Let me help. I want to help." This is bad. GG gets called, and Neeb is going to take a 2-1 lead. Protoss. You see what he did there?
He's a Protoss.
Wynack in chat says, any news on another Ting Open? Yes, we tweeted about it. We announced it. Ting Open Season 2 will happen, but likely after DreamHack Tours, because there's a lot of DreamHacks coming up, and we don't want to mess with that. So, we're going to Game 4, ladies and gentlemen, and it could be the last map. So we're going to play a small commercial break of 2 minutes while we get in there. Do stick with us. We'll see you soon. All right, folks, welcome back. Game number 4 currently going down here on the Matcherino Weekly Cup. This could end it all. Let's not forget, it's $80 for the second place prize and over $240 for the first place prize today. So this is worth quite a bit of cash, but at the same time, even the loser today walks away with a fair amount of money. Spawning on the bottom left side of Ruins of Ceres, however, it is going to be the green Zerg player, True Esports Guru.
In the bottom right, as the teal Protoss, it is a Neeb.
And of course, just remind everybody that 91 Moro are also providing some commentary on the same series. If you want to check out their stream, it's actually on Naniwa's stream. Currently check that out, as they are using Stream Delay as well, so we don't have to worry about awkwardness with spoilers and all that.
Not anymore.
If you could, though, Masa is messaging on Twitter about trying to register for a password or something to get their payouts.
Sure.
So for those who don't know, we actually don't get the money from this. Like, money never touches our hands from the Matcherino page. You actually, they pay directly to the players, which is kind of cool. So that'll get sorted on their own. We just had to message some of the players, remind them, hey, guys, remember to actually sign up on the website so you get paid, because we want to make sure you get paid. As, you know, again, 3rd and 4th place got about $40 today. 40 US. That's not Canadian, silly fake money like I have. It's real monies.
Real money, real American money. Made in America. Probably.
I will say, I'm really glad the Canadian dollar's, like, it was on the rise for a while, but then we started going down again. So I'm like, I think we're at, like, back to 75 cents to the US dollar. But it was, like, 77 for a couple of weekends there. It was kind of nice. But at any rate, Neeb on this map does come into this with a 2-1 lead. Obviously, Guru feeling a little bit biased in the matchup. But there's been mistakes made from Guru, so I kind of have a hard time. Whoa, what's happening here?
What the
I have no idea. The new kinds of bugs. Anyways, what the fuck was that? I have no idea what Guru's mindset is, but I'll tell you, like, between watching Lurkers clump and poor reactions to things, like, it's really hard for me to be like, yeah, Neeb's winning this because he's Protoss. Like, there really hasn't been a lot of super Protoss moments aside from the DTs. But shy of that, like, you know, Guru's been playing a decent playstyle. He just needs to clean up some aspects of it. Again, a player who has no detection, why are you losing 30-plus Lurkers? That shouldn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, Guru is definitely, like, he likes this style, and at some points it really looks like it's just being stubborn, and why do you commit to it? Like, these mass Lurker games. But also, we've seen the mass Lurker, the insistence on just staying on lair-based units actually work out. You know, eventually he broke mana. You know, maybe you could say his mana made a mistake, but eventually he did. The Ling addition to the Lurkers is something that's just really cool in general and does occasionally really work out. They do get those beautiful run-bys that start really just making the Protoss tear their hair out. It's a cool style, but I feel like it doesn't own up to Neeb's just solid macro.
I owe you an apology, by the way. I did not play ads during that last break because we were busy dealing with Masa on Twitter and getting his money, so...
Oh.
My bad.
I mean, okay. I don't need to apologize to me for that.
Well, I mean, like, you and I both, whatever, okay. Anyways, Ling manages to run by, and it's not going to get a lot seen. You know what, we'll call that ad break mistake, because I've made a couple of those recently. We'll call that, like, the difference in our extra subscribers, so, like, the couple of bucks we make there now. The ads we miss. But, yeah, so not a great amount of scouting comes out of this, but this Overlord will confirm that there's no third base down, and for Guru, he takes what is a very dangerous third. You know, Ruins of Ceres is one of the few maps that have this dynamic where Blink Stalkers are actually very, very dangerous. Now, it was a Stargate opener, and it's not to say Blink is out of the question, but it's... Again, Guru doesn't know that. So, having to get a third base he did, dangerous on many different levels.
It's been such a long time since we've seen the Blink Stalker all in, though. For, I guess, one reason or another, we don't see Ruins that much.
We don't see Protoss that much.
We don't see... Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem, is we don't see Protoss that much, but... It's going to be 3 base versus 3. I brought up towards the end of my little speech that it just doesn't seem like Guru can hold up to some... to Neeb's macro when he can protect his bases. So Dusk Tower is obviously going to be the best map for that, because you have 3 bases that are well protected and a 4th that's pretty damn well protected too. Ruins, the 3rd, is like, it's okay, you know, like it has some opportunities to be counterattacked, and there's a lot of dead space in the main for like Overlord drops. But if Neeb is allowed to get to that maxed out Protoss army just because Guru also wants the macro, then that's where I see the problem. Neeb seems to be pretty good against Guru in a straight-on fight. But we'll see. Guru is going for a Hydralisk Den right now. Not really getting anything else, so if there was an attack, he'd be in trouble, but it is just Phoenixes. And if it's just Phoenixes, then you're usually good to drone.
Usually. Well, the Lings in the middle of the map are not getting a lot done, but the Phoenixes aren't exactly going to want to waste energy picking them up, so maybe go for a Queen or two? Trying to burn some transfuses? No. Other side of the map, between Sentries, Zealots, and Adepts, there's just no way these Lings should not do anything, frankly.
Yeah. That's where I see the potential problem really being. Like, if the Lings can't do anything, then what's... Can Guru take a good engagement finally on the front lines with Lurkers? Which is not going up to yet. He's getting all the upgrades. He still has some time to really he will do what he wants, because Neeb has only just put down 2 robos. There's not going to be disruptors, there's not going to be immortals, there's not going to be enough to push with for quite a while.
I can't remember the last time we've ever seen anyone take this gold base on this map.
You saw it 2 or 3 months ago, I think.
Yeah. Let's talk about this, though, because there's actually a Reddit thread brought up about this, and I'm really glad someone did make a Reddit thread, because we've been trying to really hammer this point home during cast, but a gold base does not mean that you get this super crazy amount of extra money. Like, you're not going to have 5 times the income rate because of a gold base. But what a gold base does do is let you use less workers to fully saturate it, and it saves you time more than anything else. You don't have to build, another minute's worth of SCVs or drones. You can just go mine and have a great time. And that's where gold bases work really nice for, like, early game stuff. But taking a mid-game gold base, it's risky. And I feel like the benefit's not here on account of the fact it's really easy for Neeb to just sit up on the high ground and deny any amount of mining.
The tricky thing is scouting it, but if there's phoenixes roaming around, then it's not that tricky. That's the real problem. Yeah. If it's a PvZ, you're mostly just sticking near that Zelnaga on the bottom side in these positions specifically, but even then a drop could see it, and the phoenixes obviously did. So that is a potential problem. If Neeb goes to attack it, though, Guru could just try and kind of base trade it.
Right, what could be kind of cool, actually, is I would love if Neeb was just... Or, sorry, excuse me. Guru was thinking of making a macro hatchery, and this was just, like, sick bait, but no, he actually transfers over, and he wants to set this up.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's the Lurker Den. The Immortals are coming out here, so he's not going to try another Disruptor style. The Robos being on the front lines with a blessing and a curse, I mean, instant reinforcements, they'll pop out in the nick of time, but they'll also potentially die if you're already being pressured on your third base, so it's always just like, well, I mean, oh, that looks scary.
We've also talked about this a lot, too, where if you are losing this base, you're probably losing the game. It's not really a lot of, like, when you're at this stage of the game, when you're over 100 supply deep, where you're like, oh, you know what, I took a third, but I can slap it back down. Like, no, it's probably on the course to defeat.
It's more of a worry that the entire army is in the north side, and instead of sniping the Nexus, they snipe your Robos.
Yeah, that's true, too. Either way, Neeb looking to get some harassment on the gold base, but the Hydra's waiting to catch him. Not going to let that happen, decides to fly away.
Mm-hmm.
Guru, I love how much Guru is expanding.
It's looking pretty good, but he did the same thing on Laralac, and he... one of the main problems on Laralac was he didn't take the gas guys. I just hope he doesn't repeat that mistake. But also, he was playing such a style, and I think he's going to do it again, that it was just so based on losing units and replenishing it. So it's not just like, oh, great, you have extra bases. It's like, okay, good thing you have extra bases, because you're just losing, like, tons of lurkers here and there. Which seems to be the way that Guru likes to play. He's also upgrading the melee really quickly, too. I don't really like the committal to lurkers, but I do really love Guru's use of lings. I'm half and half on this guy.
Yeah. Well, the force steals aren't too bad, and they take care of most of the fodder for the units behind this. However, Guru does also pounce on the fourth base while this goes on, so a couple of Zealots trying to hold the lines on this side. The entire army kind of necessary to stay here because, again, the high priority this base creates with those Robos being there. So this fourth doesn't get canceled. Ouch, that's a kill.
Yeah, 4 minerals down the drain, but that's something that you can definitely recover from. He has to be very careful just not to be overrun, though. Like, he very much so knows they could have a concave. I could be, like, tripped over my own Sim City here if I'm not very, very careful. And he's trying to be. Also doesn't want his natural to be broken. Catches about half the army. As the other half is waiting for him on the backside.
Oh, those gates get broken, too. Those links might just run through. The army on this side, Storm's going up to the north. Photon overcharges are letting loose, but this is still a situation where Neeb's getting split in two. And as we can see, it's not working out for him.
Yeah. Oh, no. That top side actually went way too badly. He was doing okay for a second, but I think Guru's going to take it to the ace match, and he didn't wait for lurkers. He just went with Roach Hydra.
The timing ends up working a lot better for him for 2, I feel, but this reinforcement wave is actually going to be enough to scare him back, so it's not quite over just yet. But Neeb just took some very hefty losses that will not be easy to replace, namely of which being that fourth.
He was so close to holding this with maybe 20 to 30 more army supply, and that would look really terrible for Guru.
This base looks like such a derpy face. I just realized.
Losing the fourth base, no cancel, is really, it's tough. But only being on 3 bases isn't the end of the world yet for Neeb. But also losing the army didn't help either. And now Guru's going for the lurkers, as the immortal count has been called, and the storms have all been used.
Yeah. Well, the lurkers are going to be a definite problem. Decides to scoop some of them out of the ground. We'll see if that ends up helping or hurting, but it looks like it's not going to matter because the Hydras are just going to obliterate what little is left.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I mean, the army supply, usually if it's only 30 up for the Zerg, isn't that bad, but the Hydras just actually wrecked everything Neeb had.
All right, well, good game is called. It is going to be the ace match, but Neeb does get map pick going into it. So of the remaining maps, we'll see what he goes with. I didn't play ads before, guys, so I hope you appreciate that I'm going to try and squeeze them in here really quick as we get into the final game of the cast. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.